There comes a time in life, often after 60, when the world begins to treat you differently. Doors open more slowly. Eyes look past you. Conversations shift to what you used to do. And if you're not careful, you might begin to believe a quiet lie, that your best years are behind you. But what if that isn't true? What if aging, real aging, comes with not just loss, but unexpected freedom? Not just decline, but clarity? Not just endings, but truths that liberate you from things that never really mattered in the first place? In today's video, we're diving into 9 powerful truths about aging that can set you free. Truths that most people never talk about, but that every senior deserves to hear. These truths won't sugarcoat the journey. They won't pretend aging is easy, but they will reveal the deeper beauty behind the wrinkles, the silence, and even the grief. Before we begin, I want to ask you to do 3 simple things. Like this video, so it reaches more older adults who are searching for meaning and strength in this season of life. Subscribe to our channel, because every week we speak directly to your wisdom, your worth, and your future. Comment below with the word ready if you're open to hearing some truths that might challenge you and also lift something heavy off your heart. Let's begin. Because you've carried enough in this life, now it's time to let some things go. 1. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. Your existence is enough. One of the greatest burdens carried into older age is the feeling that we must still earn our place. For decades, we were measured by what we did, the job we held, the family we raised, the goals we chased. Our value was wrapped up in achievement, in being useful, in keeping up. And even after retirement, that voice lingers. What are you doing with your time? Are you still contributing? But here is a truth that few people will tell you, and one that can set you free. You no longer have to prove yourself to anyone. You've already done enough. You've endured enough. You've given, built, sacrificed, worked, worried, and showed up for more than most will ever know. You have earned the right to be, without justification, without apology, without performance. This doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you give up on goals or dreams. It means your worth is no longer tied to your productivity. You are not a number. You are not what you used to be able to lift or earn or manage. You are valuable because you're still here, still breathing, still witnessing this world with the eyes of someone who has lived. And that is rare. You see, when you release the need to prove yourself, something incredible happens. You reclaim your peace. You stop explaining your slower pace. You stop feeling guilty for resting. You stop apologizing for not being what you once were, and instead begin honoring what you still are. So the next time someone asks, "What are you doing these days?" you don't owe them a performance. You don't have to list a schedule or defend your quiet. You can simply smile and say, "I'm living," and that's enough. If you felt this pressure to stay useful, even in your later years, leave a comment with letting go. Your words may be the first permission someone else has ever felt to stop proving and start simply being. And if this truth lifted something from your shoulders, like this video now and subscribe, because next we'll explore another liberating truth. Why slowing down doesn't mean falling behind. It means finally catching up with what matters. Stay with me. You're not falling. You're arriving. 2. Slowing down isn't falling behind. It's catching up with what truly matters. In today's world, speed is celebrated. Quick responses, fast decisions, packed schedules. Everything is urgent. Everything is instant. And for decades, many of us kept up. We moved quickly because we had to, raising children, managing jobs, caring for aging parents, keeping the wheels turning. But after 60, something shifts. The pace of life naturally slows. And for many, that change feels unsettling. You begin to wonder, am I falling behind? Am I being left out? Is life passing me by? Here is a truth that can change the way you see everything. Slowing down isn't falling behind. It's catching up with what matters. When you're no longer racing through your days, you begin to notice things. The color of the sky, The shape of a grandchild's hand. The feeling of your breath, steady and real. The stories behind the silence. The memories that rise up, not to haunt you, but to teach you. Slowing down gives you time to feel what you've pushed aside, to reconnect with the parts of yourself that were neglected during the decades of survival. And yes, it also gives you time to grieve, not just for people you've lost, but for versions of yourself that you no longer are. But grief is not the end. It's a door. And once you step through, you begin to see that this slower pace is not punishment. It's a gift. A space to ask new questions. A space to sit in stillness without guilt. A space to laugh, cry, breathe, pray, or simply be without the rush to move on. You may no longer move like you used to. You may take longer to finish tasks. You may pause more often. But what if that pause isn't weakness? What if it's wisdom? What if in slowing down, you are finally walking at the pace of your own soul? So the next time you feel left behind, remind yourself, the race is over. The work has been done. This is not the sprint. This is the sacred walk home. If you've been struggling to accept your slower pace, leave a comment below with "I'm learning to walk slower." And if this message speaks to your heart, like the video and subscribe. Because next we'll talk about a truth that many avoid but every elder deserves to hear. Why saying no without guilt is one of the most powerful freedoms aging can give you. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. 3. Saying no without guilt is one of the greatest freedoms of aging. For much of our lives, we're taught to say yes. Yes to extra work. Yes to helping. Yes to family obligations, social events, favors, expectations. We say yes to keep the peace, to avoid disappointment, to prove we're reliable, and sometimes to avoid the fear of being left out or seen as selfish. But over time, all those yes pile up. They stretch us thin. They make us tired. And by the time we reach our 60s or 70s, many of us are left wondering, when do I get to stop bending for everyone else? Here is your truth. You have earned the right to say no, and you no longer have to apologize for it. No is not a rejection. No is not rudeness. No is not failure. No is a boundary, and boundaries are how we protect what's left of our time, our energy, and our peace. When you say no in this season of life, it's not because you don't care. It's because you care differently now. You care about your health, about rest, about doing things that feed your spirit rather than deplete it. You spent a lifetime giving. Now is the time to give wisely, not endlessly. This might mean saying no to social gatherings that exhaust you, family requests that feel more like demands, unnecessary responsibilities you use to carry out of habit, even conversations or relationships that leave you feeling drained. Saying no opens space. Space for what you want, for what brings you joy, for what allows your body to heal and your heart to breathe. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to live truthfully in the time you have left. And yes, it may surprise people. It may even upset them. But part of aging gracefully is realizing that you're not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You're only responsible for honoring your own. So the next time you hesitate to say no, ask yourself, if I say yes, what am I saying no to in myself? If the answer is your peace, your rest, your health, you already know the right choice. Have you struggled to say no in your later years? Share in the comments. Even just writing learning to say no could free someone else to do the same. And if this message gave you strength, like the video and subscribe, because next we'll explore a truth that's rarely spoken but deeply needed. Why grief becomes a companion in aging, and how learning to walk with it can bring unexpected peace. Stay with me. There's more freedom ahead. For grief is a companion in aging, and learning to walk with it brings peace. As we grow older, grief becomes more familiar. Friends pass, siblings fade, spouses leave this world, or grow distant in ways we never expected. Even our own bodies, once strong and steady, begin to change, and we feel the loss of ease, speed, independence. And so we carry grief. Not just one grief, but many. Some sharp, some quiet, some we've never spoken aloud. Here is a truth that can soften your heart. Grief doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you've loved deeply. It means you've lived fully. It means you've had something worth missing. In younger years, we're taught to move on, to get over things, to push forward. But after 60, grief no longer arrives as a sudden visitor. It becomes more like a quiet companion. It walks beside us, not to hurt us, but to remind us of what mattered, of who mattered, of what shaped us. And when we stop fighting grief, when we stop pretending it shouldn't be there, something changes. Grief becomes less like a wound and more like a mirror that shows us just how much our hearts were capable of holding. You may grieve a partner who isn't here to share your morning coffee, a friend who used to call every week, a version of yourself who could still run, dance, or lift the grandkids, a world that felt slower, kinder, easier to understand, a home you had to leave, or a dream that didn't unfold the way you hoped. None of this grief means you're broken. It means you're awake to the passing of time. And the more we allow ourselves to feel it, without shame, without fear, the more we begin to heal. Peace doesn't come from avoiding grief. It comes from learning to walk with it, gently, with reverence, with patience. Some days it will feel heavy. Other days, it will walk quietly behind you. But when you allow grief its place, it often brings something unexpected: gratitude. Gratitude for what was. Gratitude for who you've become through it. And sometimes, even gratitude for what remains. Have you carried grief silently? If you feel ready, leave a comment with the name of someone or something you miss. Just a name, just a word. It matters. If this helped you breathe a little deeper, like the video and subscribe. Because next we'll talk about a liberating truth that too few people embrace in later years. Why aging allows you to stop pretending and finally live as your truest self. You're not becoming less. You're becoming more honest. Let's keep going. 5. Aging allows you to stop pretending and start living as your truest self. There's a moment somewhere in your 60s, 70s, or maybe even later when something inside you begins to shift. The desire to impress fades. The need to be approved of weakens. The urge to fit in, to be polite at all costs, to wear a mask that no longer fits, it begins to fall away. And in its place, something else begins to rise, your truest self. Here's the truth that can set you free. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to pretend to agree when you don't. You don't have to smile when you're tired. You don't have to attend every gathering, fulfill every request, or tolerate every voice that drains you. You've spent decades trying to be the version of yourself that others needed. The parent, the spouse, the employee, the caregiver. And those roles mattered. They shaped lives, built families, sustained generations. But now you get to ask, who am I, really, when no one else is watching? This chapter of life is not about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you've been all along, underneath the layers of duty, fear, and social expectation. It's about letting go of the performance and embracing the person who's been waiting to breathe freely. Your truth might be quiet. It might be loud. It might be different than who your family remembers or what your community expects, but it is yours, and you've earned the right to live it. Some people won't understand. That's okay. Not everyone will approve. That's okay too. Freedom doesn't come from being accepted. It comes from being honest. So what makes you feel like you? Say what needs to be said. Spend your time with people who nourish your soul, not just fill your calendar. Choose peace over politeness, if that's what your spirit is asking for. And if you're still figuring it out, still peeling back the layers, that's part of the process. You don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to stop pretending. Have you felt yourself stepping into your truest self in recent years? Share in the comments. Even a sentence that begins with "I'm finally" could give someone else the strength to do the same. If this spoke to your soul, like the video and subscribe, because next we'll uncover a quiet truth that brings comfort in difficult times, why being alone isn't the same as being lonely, and how solitude and aging can become your sanctuary. Let's keep walking. You're getting lighter with every truth. 6. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Solitude can be a sanctuary. There's a silence that comes with aging, a quieter house, a slower phone, an emptier schedule. Friends move away, loved ones pass, children grow up and build lives of their own. And gradually, your days are filled with more space, more stillness, and yes, sometimes more silence than you expected. But here's a truth that can free your heart. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is the ache of disconnection. It's the feeling that you've been forgotten, that no one sees you, that your presence no longer matters to the world around you. And that pain is real. If you felt it deeply, you're not weak. You're human. But solitude is something different. Solitude is a chosen quiet, a sacred stillness, a return to yourself. In your younger years, there was rarely room for solitude. Life was too busy, too loud. You were pulled in a dozen directions. Everyone needed something, your time, your help, your presence. But now, for the first time in a long time, you have the chance to sit with yourself, to listen, to reflect, to create, to pray, to breathe, not for someone else, but for your own soul. And in that quiet space, something begins to happen. You hear your thoughts more clearly. You feel your emotions more honestly. You reconnect with the inner voice that got lost in the noise. And perhaps most beautifully, you discover that your own company is not so empty after all. Yes, connection is still important. We all need people. But if you can learn to befriend your own solitude, if you can stop running from the silence, you'll find that loneliness fades. Not because the world becomes louder, but because you become more whole. Solitude becomes your sanctuary when you stop fearing it. It becomes the room where healing happens, where memories are honored, where peace is restored. So if your days feel quiet lately, ask yourself, what is this quiet inviting me to notice, to create, to remember? Have you experienced the difference between being alone and being lonely? Share your thoughts in the comments. Even a few honest words might help someone feel less afraid of their own silence. And if this reflection brought comfort, like the video and subscribe, because next we'll uncover a truth that carries both pain and power, why aging means letting go, and how that release, while difficult, can lead to unexpected peace and clarity. Stay close. You're not fading. You're awakening. 7. Aging means letting go, and that release can lead to unexpected peace. Letting go. 2 small words, but perhaps the hardest task we face as we grow older. Letting go of the body we once had. Letting go of careers that once gave us purpose. Letting go of routines, responsibilities, even dreams that no longer fit this season of life. Letting go of people, some through death, others through distance, and some simply through time. We're told that aging is about loss, and in some ways it is. But here's the deeper truth. Letting go is not just about what you lose, it's about what you make space for. There's a sacred wisdom in release. When you stop clinging to who you were, you begin to discover who you are becoming. When you lay down the weight of old expectations, you free yourself to breathe in this present moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but now. When you stop trying to hold everything together, you realize you were never meant to. Letting go is not failure. It's not giving up. It's not weakness. Letting go is trust. Trusting that your life still has meaning, even if it looks different than you imagined. Trusting that the space created by loss can be filled with new kinds of peace, presence, and purpose. Trusting that what is meant to remain will remain, and what leaves was never yours to hold forever. It might mean letting go of guilt, of resentment, of the need to be strong all the time, of the illusion of control, and sometimes letting go of the version of yourself that was built for a life that no longer exists. And yes, letting go hurts, but in that hurt, you may find clarity. In that release, you may find rest. And in that open hand, you may find the freedom to receive something new. If you've had to let go of something or someone in this season of life, leave a comment below. Even a name, even a word, it matters. And if this truth helped lift something inside of you, like the video and subscribe. Because next, we'll look at one of the most empowering revelations that comes with age. Why you don't need everyone to understand you anymore. And how that freedom can transform the way you live. Keep walking. The truth is getting lighter, and so are you. 8. You don't need everyone to understand you. That's the freedom of wisdom. In your younger years, you may have spent a lot of energy explaining yourself, trying to be understood, trying to make sure no one got the wrong impression, trying to fit into rooms where you didn't quite belong, with people who didn't quite see you. You try to be agreeable, relatable, acceptable, palatable. But here's one of the quiet freedoms that aging brings, and it may be one of the most liberating of all. You no longer need everyone to understand you. You've earned the right to be misunderstood. You've earned the right to say what you mean, without softening your voice for the comfort of others. You've earned the right to disagree without needing to defend, to walk away without needing to explain, to live your truth, even if no one claps for it. This isn't about becoming harsh or unkind. It's about becoming whole. It's about realizing that understanding is a gift, not a requirement. And if someone doesn't understand you, that's okay. You understand yourself. And that is more than enough. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't have to defend your peace. You don't have to explain why certain people or places no longer fit the shape of your life. Because the truth is, the older you get, the more clearly you see. Not everyone is meant to walk every mile with you. Not every version of you is meant to be known by everyone. And not every opinion about your life is worth listening to. And the more you embrace that truth, the more time, energy, and emotional freedom you reclaim. You begin to speak more honestly. You begin to move more lightly. And you begin to live more fully, not for the crowd, but for the core of who you are. If you've spent too many years trying to be understood, comment below with the words, "I'm done explaining." That declaration might be the beginning of someone else's healing. And if this truth gave you a breath of freedom, like the video and subscribe, because next, in the final truth of this journey, we'll talk about what aging ultimately reveals. That you've become the elder you once needed, and your presence, your voice, and your example still matter deeply. Let's bring it home. You are not invisible. You are the wisdom someone's waiting to see. 9. You become the elder you once needed, and your presence still matters deeply. Think back for a moment to when you were younger, unsure, searching, maybe hurting, maybe hiding, maybe just trying to make sense of the world. Can you remember a time when you wished someone wiser had stepped in? Someone who didn't lecture, didn't judge, just understood? Someone who had been through the fire, who had made peace with the mess, who could say with calm conviction, "You're going to be okay." Whether that person showed up or not, you have now become that person. This is the final truth, and maybe the most important of all. You're the elder someone else is quietly hoping for. Not because you have all the answers, not because you've lived perfectly, but because you've lived, and you've come through things that once felt impossible. You may not be on a stage. You may not speak into microphones or write best-selling books, but you are teaching every day by the way you sit with pain, the way you speak gently, the way you choose peace over pride, the way you carry loss and still find room for laughter. You're showing others what it looks like to grow older with grace, to honor age without apology, to live with depth, not just speed, to stay rooted, even as the world around you spins faster and faster. You may think no one's watching, but they are. A grandchild, a neighbor, a friend who's losing their way, a stranger who feels invisible until they see you standing tall. You are someone's reminder that aging is not erasure, it's elevation. And whether you're aware of it or not, your life is a living testament that you can survive heartache, that you can find meaning again, that you can grow softer without losing your strength, that it's never too late to be fully, deeply, beautifully alive. If this truth touched something in you, I invite you to comment with the words, "I am the elder I needed." That one sentence may light a fire in someone who forgot what they carry. And before you go, do 3 things for yourself and others. Like this video, so it reaches those walking the same road you are. Subscribe, because this space is for you, your wisdom, and your voice. Share it, not because you must, but because someone you love may need one of these truths today. You are not behind. You are not less. You are not forgotten. You are the elder now, and the world still needs your light.